It's the Anime America NFT. I must say, I made a nice fucking t-shirt, huh? That's what NFT stands for, right?
Yeah, totally. That's exactly what it means. Thank you, Sumi. Introducing the Anime America Nice Fucking T-Shirt. This will be a limited item, so grab it from our Teespring store before it's too late. We're also going to throw in the discount code NFT30, so you can get 30% off of your entire order. Feel free to use this code on any of our available t-shirt designs on Teespring. When I first got into anime, I was in elementary school, and I was watching Toonami on Cartoon Network. Around that time, I was watching Dragon Ball Z, The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, which was later replaced by Ronin Warriors, the real OG reboot. Can I hear some fans out there? Anyone? Anyone remember this? This was 3D back then, look at this. And of course, my all-time favorite anime, Sailor Moon. I, for one, watched all of Sailor Moon for its interesting story and drama. Why yes, I did start watching the series when Prince Diamond kidnapped Sailor Moon soon after discovering this annoying pink spawn as her child in the future. So of course I had to keep watching to figure out what the hell I was watching. I wouldn't necessarily say I looked up to these superhero girls, but I watched every episode just because I loved the characters and I loved the stories. I loved their adventures and the villains they would face, despite realizing how repetitive it could be the older I became. From that point onwards, I kept getting into other types of anime, checking out manga for the first time, and making new friends who also loved anime. I remember loving stories from Clamp, Yuatase, and Rumiko Takahashi, while also getting into the Pokemon craze just like everyone else. Anime was a huge part of my life, and I made several male and female friends who loved watching all types of anime with me. We loved the animation, we loved their stories, and we loved their characters. We grew up watching amazing stories led by incredible characters, both male and female. I guess to us, it didn't really matter what gender the characters were, as long as their stories were good and they had likable or interesting characteristics. So when I see an article like this, I honestly don't know what to say. Colleen Clinkenbeards, a remarkable voice actress who's voiced hundreds of popular anime characters and is one of the ADR directors of Funimation. She was invited for an interview from comicbook.com to talk about her experience in the anime industry for Women's History Month. She basically talks about how she got into voice acting, how she became one of the first female ADR directors at Funimation, and talks about her favorite anime characters such as Sailor Mars, Urza Scarlet, Toru Honda, and Hana from Wolf Children. There is one comment she made, however, that grabbed a lot of people's attention, and it's the sole reason why I'm making this video. When asked, shonen anime is hugely popular in the United States, but the medium has stories for everyone. Women have their voices and interests expressed in tons of shoujo josei series. Do you feel that anime does a better job catering to the demographic than, say, television stateside? How do you think the anime industry could do better? She goes on to say, I think in more recent years, the studios creating anime have done a better job incorporating female voices in the shonen anime and allowing shoujo series to appeal to all viewers. I think not male anime and female anime, but anime with different flavors for every palate. Okay, that's something I can actually agree with. Anime has come a long way from making shows strictly for their demographics. They have evolved and involving all sorts of characters that everyone, whether within the demographic or not, can like and even look up to. But then she had to say this. The one thing I like to see change even more is the treatment of female characters in anime of all genres. Female characters are too often driven by their desire to appeal to men or support men, and too infrequently by their own motives and storylines. They also tend to end up in the background, waiting to be rescued or fixed in some way. I like to see more strength in female characters we see in anime, so both girls and boys watching anime as they grow up can find things to admire in these characters, rather than looking to the male leads for inspiration. Alright, where do I even begin? She is flat out saying that the majority of female characters in anime are solely motivated to find a man, to be more appealing for a man, to help their man in whatever quest they're on, and settle for being a background character as long as their men are happy.
Excuse me, what?
Now then, I'm I'm going to be as polite as possible, despite the fact that I feel like the comment alone is seriously detached from reality and is in fact disingenuous. This is in no way me attacking Colleen for her comment, and I will not tolerate any form of harassment and bullying she gets from any of you thinking she deserves it for what she said. With all of that said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick out 10 of her most popular female characters she's voiced herself and go over their motivations. I can assure you, the majority of these girls have motivations outside of finding a man. First of all, let's start with Momo from My Hero Academia. She's basically top of her class, excelling in school and combat training. Her quirk ability is creating anything she wants by reconstructing the molecular fat stored in her body. She needs to eat a lot in order to maintain body fat and wears revealing clothing in order to gain access to her skin to use her quirk. Some around her think she's open to vulgarity because of her outfit, but she's very sensitive towards vulgar behavior and tends to see nudity with a natural and non-sexual point of view. Headstrong, confident, a born leader, and a hard worker. Interested in finding a man and helping his quest? No, she just wants to be a hero. That's it. Hana from Wolf Children. She goes to school, falls in love with a man who has the ability to transform into a wolf, and they have 2 children together. Soon after Ame was born though, Wolfman suddenly dies, leaving Hana with 2 wolf children to raise on her own. Hana's motivation was not finding a man, she just went to school and fell in love as a lot of other people tend to do. You know, high school, college sweethearts as you would call them. Her motivation changed, however, from school to raising a family, and now just figuring out a way to protect these children from a world that doesn't even know wolf people exist. Her sole motivation throughout the majority of the film was just to look out for her loved ones and care for her children. Does that count as supporting a man though? I honestly don't see it that way at all. She didn't really give up anything for him, she just wanted to raise a family with him, and he suddenly dies. Plus, the movie focuses on her and her children, so I'd say her motivations don't really match Colleen's statement at all. Nice Hollystone from Baccano is a blast. Get it? Nice grows up alongside her friend Jacuzzi. Her sole motivation is to run a bootlegging gang alongside Jacuzzi as a team. She takes care of him since he was the one person who cared for her even after an explosion accident permanently scarring her. But she honestly works alongside Jacuzzi as a team. Plus, I can totally see her as that one type of gal that would just walk up to a Wendy's store clerk say, excuse me, he said no pickles on his burger. But other than that, her motivations are her own, to run a successful bootlegging gang alongside her best friend, soon-to-be husband. Akito Soma from Fruits Basket. Okay. How can she be a background maiden when she's the main villain and the sole reason why everyone in the Soma family is suffering? Help them, please. But I digress. Akito is the head of the Soma family. She was severely abused by her insane mother and pushed into being a boy. She had major insecurities which would cause her to lash out at any female that came near her, and she was afraid of rejection and of being alone. While she did have feelings for Shigure and tried everything to make him obey her, her sole motivation was, in essence, freedom and acceptance. She wanted to be herself without her mother treating her horribly for it, and to be accepted for who she is without being abandoned by anyone. She's a package, to say the least, but I can't fully say her motivations were solely fixated around Shigure. She was scared of losing him, but that just spawns from her fears and insecurities. Like I said, she's a package.
Okay, so I had to redo this segment because I totally messed up, mainly because I barely remember Soul Eater. Marie Mjolnir worked hard most of her life to become a Death Scythe and serve the Shinigami. She actually did meet her goal and is one of the more successful Death Scythes in the series, but is at a point in her life where she wants to retire and find a husband. Given how Japan negatively pressures women into marriage by a certain age or else be deemed too old for marriage, you can understand how Marie feels being a successful woman but with no husband. At the same time, when she became a teacher, she actually found herself loving her new job and devotes herself to her students. Ultimately, she succeeded her first goal in becoming a Death Scythe. Despite her actually loving her new job and wanting to do her best for her students and for the school, she really wants to find a husband and retire. Not really sure how to judge this one because she has several goals, but one of them is finding a man, so how about this? We just give her half a point. Yay?
Android 18 from Dragon Ball Z starts off as an android programmed to serve Dr. Gero, but her and her brother quickly disobey him, doing whatever the hell they want. She was also supposed to be used to complete Cell's transformation into Perfect Cell, but is then rescued by Krillin. She later on joins the Z Fighters, falls in love with Krillin, and they have a daughter together. Deep down, 18's sole motivation is just to look after her family. She wants enough money to pay the bills and care for her daughter while also being strong enough to protect her home from any other invaders. Goku even enlists her and Krillin for the Tournament of Power because she is one of the strongest fighters he knows. She's only willing to do it for the prize money, but grows concerned for Krillin's safety since she knows this will be a difficult tournament to partake in. Is her motivation solely fixated around Krillin or any other male warrior? Not really. Her and Krillin work together to look after their family and their home. That's not really a female character solely supporting a man or putting aside her wants and desires in order for Krillin to be happy. She just wants to protect her family and work alongside her husband to make it happen. Ran Mori from Detective Conan is Shinichi's childhood friend and eventual girlfriend. She's intelligent and captain of her school's karate team. While she is attracted to Shinichi, her sole motivation throughout the series is, confess right now that you're Shinichi, you little. Basically, she helps Conan with his cases while looking after him as a sisterly figure, but highly suspects Conan of being Shinichi the whole time. Since her father and Shinichi are involved in detective work, she tends to help out when solving cases and attacks anyone who threatens her or her friends with her skills in karate. She's not really a background character or solely fixated on Shinichi, but she finds herself helping a little boy and sometimes her boyfriend in solving cases. The whole point of the show is watching this brilliant detective solve these random cases while in the body of a child, and Ran is there to help. Even though Ran is a strong protagonist, she is there to help the main male lead, so that's 1 point for Colleen here. Frieza Hawkeye from Fullmetal Alchemist is the perfect soldier. She is a no-nonsense officer who is strict and disciplined. Her motivations are around one thing and one thing only: Mustang. Yeah, this is another point for Colleen. Frieza is not only Mustang's bodyguard, but also his support. He has a goal in mind and will reach it no matter the cost, and she loyally stays by his side to keep him in check. At times, she sees herself as a glorified babysitter to Mustang's irresponsible nature, but will at times risk her life to protect him and their dreams, while also making sure he doesn't lose himself to pointless bloodshed like in the fight with Envy. She wants to follow the Colonel and help him achieve his goals, but that still doesn't make her a weak character. Far from it. Mocha Akashiya from Rosario plus Vampire. Okay, yeah, no arguments here. Here we go. Yep, 3 points. There we go. I mean, it's a harem, and most girls in any harem are interested in the male lead. That's basically the point of a harem. Mocha is the first girl to take a liking to Sukune, but mostly for his blood. Mocha has 2 different personalities depending on if she's wearing her Rosario or not. Outer Mocha is sweet, kind, and meek, while inner Mocha is blunt, brutal, strong, and she said no pickles! Despite being an impressively strong vampire and a brute force if you mess with her or her friends, her sole motivation is fixated around the main character, Sukune, because of his kind nature and for his delicious blood. Alright, and as for our last character, yeah, nah, that's not even close, Colleen. Urza Flippin' Scarlet is probably the strongest member of Fairy Tail and one of the main characters in the series. Her motivations are to get stronger and to look out for her guild. Because of her tragic past in the Tower of Heaven, she would describe herself as someone who used to cry because she never had the strength to protect anyone dear to her. She vows to become as strong as possible to make sure all of her friends and her guild are protected, and they won't have to suffer like she did. Is she doing this to support a man or to appeal to someone? No. Even if she has feelings towards another person, her motivations are her own, and they are to protect and grow stronger. She is one of the strongest female protagonists a lot of fans look up to, and she's a pretty incredible character to admire.
So basically, out of the 10 popular characters she's voiced, 6.5 of them do not match her statement. They each have their own motivations outside of supporting a man and appealing to a man. Even with the other 3.5 though, they're each strong in their own right and have ways of dealing with numerous situations in their own unique ways.
There's thousands of female characters ranging from leading strong roles to background support. The same can also be said from male characters, but this isn't me saying it's always been equal, far from it. There are more male leads than female leads, but that doesn't mean we need to immediately fix it by by pushing male characters aside and creating more shows just for the sake of equality. The priority should always be story, story, story. Without a good story and compelling characters to carry the story, the audience will not watch the show, even if it has a diverse range of characters. Hell, I chose To Your Eternity as the best anime of 2021, and it was led by a sentient life form that just exists to learn and grow from its surroundings. Hell of a lot more interesting than what they were trying to do with High Guardian Spice. As for the female leads that I admire, well, let's try to keep this one brief. Sailor Moon! I don't care what you guys say, she's a strong female lead who's only a victim to 90s writing, don't at me! Sailor Moon's motivation is just to live a peaceful life with her friends and her boyfriend Mamoru. Not clearly fixated solely on Mamoru, but she just wants enough power to make sure that the Earth is safe and everyone can live in peace. Sai Takanashi from Saints Magic is omnipotent. Motivation? To do something worthwhile since she was plucked from her normal life and tossed aside when she wasn't as pretty as the other girl. Again, oof. Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop. Motivation? To pay off her insane amount of debt by any means necessary. Midori, Sayaka, and Tsubame from Keep Your Hands Off of Eizouken. Motivation? To create their own anime with the little amount of budget they have. Konata Izumi from Lucky Star. Motivation? To have a comfy life playing video games and watching anime. I mean, seriously, what else can I say? She's living the dream. Haruhi Suzumiya from The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Motivation? To seek out any forms of supernatural entities like aliens, time travelers, and espers. Did I mention that she's a god? Raftalia from The Rising of the Shield Hero. Okay, this is a point I can give for Colleen since her motivations revolve around Naofumi, but the fact that he saved her from imprisonment and illness while giving her the strength to fight back against the injustices that took her entire family away, can you blame her? Perona from To Your Eternity. Motivation? To prevent more girls from dying like her sister did while shedding light to the truth that the whole sacrificial ceremonies are completely fabricated. And of course, how could I honestly forget Alice Seno from Alice 19th. Please give this girl a goddamn anime already! Motivation? To become a more confident and strong person while standing up to her bullies and protecting her friends from dark entities plaguing people's hearts. Seriously, this manga needs an anime, give it one! Overall, I understand what Colleen is trying to say. Shonens are mostly male-dominant and cater to the male demographic, despite the fact that the female demographic watches too. And the same can be said vice versa for the shoujo audience catering to the female demographic, despite having a male audience as well. As long as the stories are good and the characters are likable, then who cares who's watching? Colleen just wants to see more female shonens in order for boys to see these female leads as inspiring as the male leads. She even addressed this criticism that she was getting, but still sticking to her statement, like we need to push for more female leads in shonen. While I do understand that statement, I just flat out disagree with her point of view. Like, I'm all for female shonens and welcoming new female strong leads, but what's the solution? The only solutions I can really think of are either making your own anime, which has worked in good and bad ways, or encouraging mangakas to produce female shonens. That's basically what Funimation and online influencers are trying to encourage, but why ask someone else to make content about something they may or may not be interested in? I mean, Netflix is trying to do it, and then they made Yasuke. I mean, if you can partner up with a mangaka to produce more female shonens, then good! Go for it! Have at it! Let's see it! Let's see if the story will be good! But what I'm ultimately asking for is if the mangaka just wants to produce their own stories, then let them. Ultimately, it is not up to us and our politics to decide what Japan should and shouldn't be producing. They're the ones producing the manga, animating these stories for the world to see, and working tireless hours while experiencing deadly levels of exhaustion to make it all happen. Personally, I'd rather we address Japan's state of exhaustion rather than who's the lead character of the next big anime, but that's a topic for another day. I made this video not just to address Colleen's statement, but to have my arguments on standby in case anyone else makes a similar remark. Female anime characters' motivations are mostly revolved around supporting the male lead or trying to appeal to male characters, huh? Whether you believe Colleen was making this statement from naive ignorance or from disingenuous virtue signaling, there are plenty of strong female characters in shonen, shoujo, and more that have their own motivations outside of catering to the male counterparts. And you know what? There's definitely more to come. I'm also going to end this video with a quote that some of you may be familiar with. Many of my movies have strong female leads. Brave, self-sufficient girls that don't think twice about fighting for what they believe with all their heart. They'll need a friend or a supporter, but never a savior. Any woman is just as capable of being a hero as any man. These are the words of world-renowned animator and director Hayao Miyazaki, and the majority of his films are led by women. And seriously, if you want to team up with someone to create your own anime, I got this one to recommend. See? This one's good. Strong female lead, powerful message. Just make it already! So, here we are. Didn't think I'd make a video like this, but I just wanted to address how I felt about Colleen's statement. I said everything with no hatred in my heart towards her. I just didn't agree with what she said and just wanted to address it in my own way. But what are your thoughts? What do you think of Colleen's statement about female characters in anime? Also, which anime character do you take inspiration from? Doesn't matter what gender they are, let's just talk about our favorite characters in the comment section down below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you'd like to see more of our videos, be sure to support the channel by clicking the subscribe button and leaving a like on this video. I also want to give a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for helping me keep this channel alive and thriving. Thank you all so much for your love and support. More awesome videos will be on the way, so stay tuned to Anime America.